HowExpert! Top 10 screenwriting tips for beginner screenwriters. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit howexpert.com to learn more. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more HowExpert Top 10 videos in the future. Moving on, let's talk about HowExpert Top 10 screenwriting tips for beginner screenwriters. Number 10, your interests are the problem. The character is the solution. Most people are attracted to writing because they have something about which they want to write. But there's a problem with focusing too intently on the subject of your script. A subject matter is static and unchanging without characters to explore it. Your subject might be intellectually stimulating to read or think about, but many scripts have lost their audience's interest while being intellectually stimulating. Your script will live and die by who your writing is about, the characters. Once you know what you want to write about, please think about how it presents a problem to anyone who comes across it. Let's use vampires as an example. Vampires need to feed on other people. That's a problem. Your character is the person who encounters that problem, and who they are is revealed both to the audience and you by how they face it and how they respond. Are they experiencing it because a vampire is trying to feed on them, or perhaps because they are a vampire that needs to drink blood themselves? What they do in response to even these basic premises will explore the character and your story's subject. Number 9, focus on desires. Make them visual. Screenwriting is a visual medium. It doesn't seem like it because it's words on a page, but always remember that directors adapt screenplays for the screen. No one reads screenplays as novels, and writers should not write them like novels. Where a book might allow a character page after page of internal debate to believably construct their motivation, some scripts only have room for one scene, one line, or one decisive image to communicate the same thing. Imagine your character and imagine them in a room with two things. Thing A is the thing they want most in the world, but on the other side of the room is thing B. Thing B is valuable, but not to your character. It can be money or fame or anything else that you can think of as less of a priority for your character than thing A. As long as it's clear that thing B is valuable, the audience will instantly understand your character's investment in thing A. You're not going to write much of a script without a character taking decisive action, and all action starts with motivation. And now I'm motivated to go on to number 8. Want characterize? Need dramatize. Characters doggedly pursuing their desire is a great starting point for a narrative. Still, it will hardly fill out a 100-page feature-length script. The next question is, what comes next? It's a difficult one because the possibilities are endless. Let's return to your character choosing between thing A and thing B. Rather than thing B just being something that everyone else wants, let's think harder about what thing B is. Rather than making thing B a generic temptation, make thing B what everyone needs. To create drama, thing B has to be something they should choose over thing A. Your story becomes why your character is so irrational as to choose thing A. Number 7, there must be change. There's one thing audiences look for in a story that trumps all the rest: change. Audiences will feel cheated and disappointed if they feel like nothing changed. Your script shouldn't be a linear pathway to your character going from choosing thing A to picking thing B. That is change, granted, but not the only one possible. They could reconcile A with B. Discovering C is also an option. The only thing that can't happen is for that choice not to affect anything around them. It's even acceptable for your character to go on choosing thing A, so long as that choice results in someone else making a change. The change the audience observes in the story doesn't always have to belong to your main character. So long as there's a change somewhere, your audience's instinct towards cause and effect will be satisfied. Number 6, context makes dialogue worth it. No matter what your script is about, eventually you have to write a scene that is entirely dialogue. Some screenwriters, such as Aaron Sorkin and Joss Whedon, have made careers out of their dialogue-heavy scripts. But it's not just the wit or fast-paced of their dialogue easy to abide by. It's the context in which they said it. The context of a date, for instance, comes with its obstacles and etiquette. The context of a scene, particularly a dialogue scene, is what your characters are navigating together when they exchange their lines. And if they're not navigating anything, then is anything really happening? Number 5, sweeping lines off the cutting room floor. The first thing you should look for when evaluating dialogue is whether or not it should exist at all. Why have a character mumble a disgruntled "damn it" when you can have them storm out of a room? Why have them ask a question when an intrusive action could prompt someone to respond as if to answer? In both cases, action supplements dialogue, and in both of those cases, the character is revealed. Of course, not every character is going to supplement their dialogue with action, but understanding when a character makes that choice will result in your character speaking and acting more genuinely. Number 4, don't be afraid to be unoriginal. I once met a young adult novel writer who wrote a 100,000-word book in a month. He was the kind of writer who either wrote or ghostwrote at least 5 books a year. When I asked him how he accomplished this, he said, "I type fast and I don't have original thoughts." Writers, especially screenwriters, want to be original, but screenwriting works with so many subtle and independent parts. Trying to reinvent the wheel for every single one of them will make you worse at screenwriting, not better. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back and separating what you want and what the story needs. Solve some of your smaller story problems with cliché, and what you'll usually find is that cliché in the hands of an original character doesn't feel like cliché at all. Number 3, don't end with a twist, begin with one. While we're on the subject of originality, it behooves me to address the urban legend that is the plot twist. When people ask about plot twists, they bring up a very common list of criteria that makes good plot twists. It recolors the narrative. It was well foreshadowed, adding to rewatchability. But these are all that make a plot twist good for a viewer to see executed. What makes a plot twist that benefits your writing? Writing a good plot twist is not a matter of finding something unexpected to do at the end of your story. Such a method will result in nonsensical story development at best, and a contrivance that requires you to go back and edit every page of your whole story at worst. Start with the unexpected event as the basis of your narrative rather than the conclusion. That way, even if they don't know it, your audience is watching your plot twist unfold. Number 2, everyone sees every plot twist coming anyway. Let's look at Romeo and Juliet. It's one of the most famous stories with one of the most famous endings ever, but most people don't remember the opening. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife. The play tells you its ending before the story has even begun, and yet, people still watch Romeo and Juliet more than 400 years later. Is the audience still interested to see what happens next, even if they know your biggest twist going in? It's tempting to try and use your plot twist to make your story unique and memorable, but often, the desire to be unique outweighs the necessity of the plot twist. Too many screenwriters have lost themselves trying to outsmart their audiences. Number 1, overall, listen to your story. I have always found that stories have a life of their own. They have a path of least resistance that will allow you to tell the story. Sometimes you write 80 pages of a script and find that what you intended to be an action movie is a family drama. Sometimes it doesn't even take that long. You realize the moment you give the main character their first lines what kind of person you're writing about. Robert Frost once said, "No surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. Spend a little time asking your story where it wants to go, and when it tells you, listen." If you liked our video, be sure to click and subscribe for more HowExpert Top 10 videos for all topics from A to Z in the future. Also, let us know what other topics you want us to do how-to top 10 videos in the future in the comments below. Thank you, have an amazing day, and take care. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.